Dear soul, this is not a random message you are seeing right now. This is not a coincidence. This is not just another piece of writing that happened to cross your path because some algorithm decided you needed something to read. No, you are here because something deeper than technology, something older than language, something more precise than any human calculation brought you to this exact moment, to these exact words, at this exact time in your life. And if you feel a slight shiver running down your spine right now, if you feel something tightening in your chest, if you feel a strange sense of recognition, as though someone somewhere is finally speaking directly to you, and only you, then you already know what I am about to tell you is true. You already feel it. You have always felt it. But you have been running from it. You have been running from the one truth that could set you free, the one realization that could unlock everything you have ever wanted, the one understanding that could bring your soulmate, your purpose, your peace, your abundance, your joy, all of it, rushing toward you, like a river that has been dammed for years, and is finally breaking through. And the reason you have been running from it is because this truth does not look like what you expected. It does not sound like what the world taught you. It does not feel comfortable. In fact, it might be the most uncomfortable thing you have ever heard. But heaven does not send comfortable messages. Heaven sends necessary ones. So sit with me for a moment. Not just with your eyes, not just with your mind. Sit with me with your entire being, with every cell in your body, with every wound you have been carrying, with every tear you have cried into your pillow. At 3 a.m, when nobody was watching, with every prayer you whispered that you thought went unanswered, with every moment you looked at yourself in the mirror and felt like something was missing. Something was incomplete. Something was fundamentally broken, in a way you could not name and could not fix, no matter how hard you tried. Sit with me with all of that, because what I am about to share with you is going to change the way you see everything. And I mean everything. Let us start with the thing that keeps you up at night. Let us start with the ache. You know the one I am talking about. It is not hunger. It is not loneliness in the way most people understand loneliness. It is not even heartbreak, though it often disguises itself as heartbreak. It is something deeper, something more primal, something that has been with you since before you can remember. It is the feeling that somewhere out there, someone is waiting for you, someone who was made for you, someone whose hand would fit perfectly in yours, whose breath would sync with yours, whose heartbeat would echo yours in a rhythm so ancient and so sacred that the universe itself would pause to listen. When the two of you finally came together, your soulmate, you have felt them, have you not? In quiet moments, in the space between sleeping and waking, in the way a certain song makes your heart ache for no logical reason. In the way you sometimes turn around in a crowded room, because you could swear someone was looking at you, someone who knows you, someone who has always known you. You have felt their presence, like a ghost that haunts not your house, but your very soul. And you have searched for them. Oh, how you have searched, in every pair of eyes that met yours across a room, in every hand that reached for yours, in every voice that said I love you, hoping, praying, begging the universe that this time please let this be the one. And yet something always felt slightly off. Something always felt like it did not quite fit, like wearing a shoe that is almost your size, but not exactly, like hearing a song you love but in the wrong key, close, so painfully, achingly, maddeningly close but not quite. Not yet, not them. And you blamed yourself. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were too much or not enough, too intense or too guarded, too loving or too afraid to love. You thought maybe you were one of those people who was simply not meant to find their person, one of those souls who drew the short straw in the cosmic lottery of love, destined to watch everyone else find their match, while you stood on the outside, looking in, pressing your face against the glass of a happiness that was never meant to be yours. I need you to hear me when I say this. I need you to hear me not with your ears, but with the deepest part of yourself, the part that still remembers what it felt like to be held by the divine. Before you were ever placed into this body, before you were ever given this name, before you ever learned to doubt yourself, and your worth, and your right to be loved completely, and without condition, you were wrong. You were so beautifully, heartbreakingly, understandably wrong. Not about wanting love, not about believing in soulmates, not about feeling that cosmic connection that defies explanation. You were right about all of that. Every single instinct you had was correct. Every feeling was valid. Every longing was a compass, pointing you toward something real and true and magnificent. What you were wrong about was where to look, because your soulmate does not want you to see their true face, and the reason your soulmate does not want you to see their true face is not because they are hiding from you out of cruelty. It is not because the universe is playing some twisted game with your heart. It is not because you have done something wrong, or failed some cosmic test, or accumulated bad karma from a past life. The reason your soulmate does not want you to see their true face is because if you saw it too soon, before you were ready, before you understood what you were looking at, you would run. You would run faster and farther than you have ever run from anything in your life. And you would run because the face you would see, looking back at you, would be your own. Stay with me. Do not close this. Do not scroll past this. Do not do what you always do when something gets too close to the truth, which is to deflect it with humor, or dismiss it as cliché, or bury it under the noise of your daily distractions. Stay right here, because this is where it gets real. This is where everything you thought you knew about love and soulmates and destiny begins to crack open like an egg, and what emerges is something so much more beautiful and so much more terrifying than anything you imagined. Your soulmate is a mirror of your own soul, not metaphorically, not poetically, not in some vague inspirational poster kind of way that sounds nice but means nothing when you are lying alone in bed at night, wondering why love has not found you yet. I mean literally, energetically, spiritually, cosmically. The person you have been searching for, the person you have been aching for, the person you have been crying for and praying for, and bargaining with God for, that person is a reflection, a mirror, an echo of the relationship you have with yourself. And the reason they have not shown up yet, or the reason they showed up but it fell apart, or the reason you keep attracting the same patterns and the same pain, and the same almost not quite connections over and over and over again, is because the mirror cannot show you something you are not yet willing to see. The mirror cannot reflect a love you have not yet learned to give, and the face you need to fall in love with, before any other face can stay in your life, without distortion, without projection, without the kind of desperate grasping that suffocates everything it touches, is the face you see every single morning, when you open your eyes and look at yourself, and feel that familiar pang of not enoughness that has become so constant. You have mistaken it for your identity. I know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking, here we go, another message about self-love, another person telling me to light candles, and take baths, and write affirmations on my bathroom mirror, and learn to be happy alone. And if that is what you are thinking, I understand your skepticism. I understand your exhaustion with that message. I understand how hollow it can sound when you have been doing all the things, reading all the books, going to therapy, meditating, journaling, saying the affirmations, doing the inner work, and you are still alone. You are still aching. You are still wondering when it is going to be your turn. But what I am about to tell you is not about self-love in the way you have been taught to understand it. What I am about to tell you goes so far beyond bubble baths and positive thinking that those things look like kindergarten compared to the graduate-level truth. I am about to lay at your feet. What if everything you have been taught about self-love is only the surface? What if the reason the self-love you have been practicing has not brought you the love you desire is because you have been loving a version of yourself that is not actually you? What if you have been putting affirmations on a mask? What if you have been taking care of a costume? What if the self you have been trying to love is the self the world told you to be, the acceptable self, the presentable self, the self that smiles when it wants to scream, the self that says, I am fine when it is falling apart, the self that performs strength when it is terrified, the self that pretends to be whole, when it is secretly bleeding from wounds, so old and so deep that you cannot even remember when they were first inflicted. That is not self-love, that is self-management. And there is a universe of difference between the two. True self-love, the kind that rewires your energy, the kind that shifts your frequency, the kind that causes the entire trajectory of your life to bend toward you. Like a flower, bending toward sunlight, that kind of self-love requires something most people are not willing to do. It requires you to see your own true face, the one behind the mask, the one you have been hiding from the world, and more importantly, from yourself, the one with all the cracks and all the scars and all the messy, inconvenient, socially unacceptable parts that you have spent your entire life trying to fix or hide or amputate from your being. Because someone, somewhere, at some point, made you believe those parts of you were unlovable. This is why your soulmate does not want you to see their true face. Because their true face is your true face. And you have been avoiding your true face for as long as you can remember. Think about it. Think about the way you move through the world. Think about the version of yourself you present to others, versus the version that exists in the privacy of your own mind. Think about the things you would never say out loud, the feelings you would never admit to, the desires you would never express, the fears you would never confess. Think about the parts of yourself you have locked in a room, in the basement of your psyche, and thrown away the key. The parts you visit only in your darkest moments. The parts that make you feel shame so hot and so suffocating that you would rather pretend they do not exist than face them in the light of day. Those parts, those are the parts your soulmate needs you to love, not tolerate, not manage, not improve love. And until you do, until you open that locked door and walk down those basement stairs, and sit with every single thing you have been running from, your soulmate will remain hidden, not because they are being withheld from you as punishment, not because the universe is cruel, but because love, real love, soul-deep love, the kind of love that transcends lifetimes and defies death, that kind of love can only exist between two people who are willing to be truly seen. And you cannot be truly seen by another person if you have never been willing to truly see yourself. This is the great paradox of the soulmate journey. The person you are looking for is looking for you, but they are not looking for the version of you that you show the world. They are looking for the version of you that you hide from it. They are looking for the raw, unfiltered, unedited, unpolished truth of who you are, when you strip away every defense mechanism, every coping strategy, every carefully constructed persona you have built to survive in a world that taught you from birth that you needed to be something other than what you are. In order to be worthy of love, your soulmate is not looking for your highlight reel. They are looking for your behind the scenes. They are looking for your director's cut, the one with all the deleted scenes and the bloopers and the moments that did not make the final version because they were too raw, too real, too human to show anyone. That is what your soulmate wants. That is who they are waiting for. And the reason they are waiting is because that version of you has not shown up yet. Not because it does not exist, but because you have not given it permission to exist. Now let me tell you something that might break your heart a little before it puts it back together. Stronger than it has ever been, every relationship you have ever had, every person you have ever loved, every heartbreak you have ever survived, it was all preparation for this moment. Every single one, the one who left without explanation, the one who cheated, the one who made you feel like you were not enough, the one who loved you but could not stay, the one who stayed but could not love you, the one who ghosted you, the one who breadcrumbed you, the one who made you feel like the most important person in the world, and then treated you like you did not exist. Every single one of them was a mirror, not your soulmate mirror, a practice mirror. A mirror that showed you, in pieces, in fragments, in painful and beautiful and confusing glimpses, the relationship you were having with yourself. Because every person you attract into your life is a reflection of your inner world. Not a punishment for your inner world. A reflection of it. There is a profound difference. The person who left without explanation. They were reflecting the part of you that abandons yourself. The part that walks away from your own needs, your own desires, your own boundaries without explanation or apology. The person who made you feel like you were not enough. They were reflecting the voice inside your head that has been telling you the same thing since you were a child. The person who loved you but could not stay. They were reflecting your own inability to stay present with your own love, your own tendency to sabotage good things, because deep down, you do not believe you deserve them. This is not blame. This is not saying those people were justified in hurting you. This is not saying their behavior was acceptable, or that you deserve to be treated badly. Absolutely not. What happened to you was real. Your pain was valid, your wounds are legitimate, and the people who hurt you are responsible for their actions, regardless of what they were reflecting. But understanding the mirror does not mean excusing the reflection. It means using it. It means looking at every painful experience, not as evidence that you are unloved or unlovable, but as information. Sacred, divinely orchestrated information about where the cracks in your self-relationship are, where the fractures in your self-love are, where the places you have abandoned yourself are, so that you can go back, so that you can return to those places within yourself, and do the thing you have been waiting for someone else to do. Stay. That is what your soul is asking you to do. That is what this message from heaven is about. It is not about finding your soulmate in the way you think. It is about becoming the partner your soul has been begging you to be, not to someone else. to yourself. Because when you finally truly, deeply commit to yourself, when you stop leaving yourself for other people's approval, when you stop abandoning your own needs to make others comfortable, when you stop betraying your own truth to keep relationships that are not aligned, when you stop looking at yourself with the eyes of everyone who ever made you feel small and start looking at yourself with the eyes of the divine force that created you, that is when the mirror clears, that is when the fog lifts, that is when the true face of your soulmate is revealed, and it will take your breath away, not because it is the face of a stranger, but because it is the face of someone you have known all along, someone who has been with you through every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, every season of darkness, someone who never left, someone who could never leave. Someone whose love for you is not conditional on your performance, your appearance, your achievements, your ability to be perfect in an imperfect world. Someone who loves you not despite your flaws but because of them, in spite of your wounds but through them, not around your darkness but into it, and through it and out the other side. That someone is you. And when you finally see that, when you finally understand that, when you finally stop resisting it, and let it wash over you, like a wave that has been building, since the moment you were born, something miraculous happens. Something that cannot be explained by logic or science, or any framework the human mind has ever constructed. The external mirror shifts. The people who show up in your life change, not because you manifested them. Not because you performed some ritual, or said some magic words, or finally became worthy of love, after years of earning it through suffering, but because you changed the signal. You changed the frequency. You changed the reflection. A mirror can only show you what is standing in front of it. When you stand in front of the mirror of your life, as someone who has learned to truly love themselves, the mirror has no choice but to reflect that love back to you in every form imaginable, in friendships that feel like coming home, in opportunities that align with your purpose, in abundance that flows without force, and yes, in a soulmate who sees you, truly sees you, not the mask, not the performance, not the carefully curated version of yourself you put on display, but you, and loves every single thing they see. But here is the part nobody tells you about this journey. Here is the part that the inspirational posts leave out. Here is the raw, unvarnished truth that I am going to tell you because heaven does not believe in sugarcoating. This process hurts. Learning to love yourself at the depth I am describing is not a gentle process. It is not a smooth, linear path from self-hatred to self-love with clear milestones and a guaranteed timeline. It is a demolition project. It is the tearing down of every false structure you have ever built inside yourself, every wall you put up to protect yourself from the pain of being truly known, every fortress you constructed around your heart to keep out the people who might hurt you, but that also kept out the love that was trying to reach you. It is the dismantling of your entire identity, or at least the parts of your identity that were never truly yours to begin with. The parts that were handed to you by parents who did not know how to love themselves, by a culture that profits from your insecurity, by a society that measures your worth by your productivity and your appearance, and your ability to suppress your own humanity in service of being palatable to others. When those walls come down, you will feel exposed in a way you have never felt before. You will feel like you are standing naked in the middle of a crowded room, and everyone can see everything, every scar, every stretch mark, every imperfection, every secret, Every lie you ever told to protect yourself, every truth you ever buried to keep the peace, and your first instinct will be to run. To build the walls back up, to put the mask back on, to return to the familiar prison of pretending, because at least in prison you knew the rules. At least in prison you knew what to expect. Freedom is terrifying when you have been locked up for so long that the cell starts to feel like home. But if you stay, if you breathe through the terror, if you let yourself be seen, by yourself first and then by the world, if you refuse to run this time, something shifts. Something breaks open that is not your heart. It is the shell around your heart, the calcified layer of protection that has been keeping your heart in a cage for years, decades, maybe your entire life. And when that shell cracks, what emerges is not weakness. It is not vulnerability in the way the world defines vulnerability, which is usually just another word for being a target. What emerges is power, raw, authentic, unshakable power, the kind of power that does not come from controlling others, but from no longer needing to control how others see you, the kind of power that does not come from being invulnerable, but from being so deeply rooted in your own worth, that vulnerability becomes a choice, rather than a threat. That is the power your soulmate is waiting for you to find. Not because they need you to be powerful, but because they need you to be real. And you cannot be real while you are still performing. You cannot be authentic while you are still auditioning. You cannot be truly loved while you are still wearing a costume, because anyone who falls in love with your costume is not in love with you. They are in love with a character, and the moment the character breaks, the moment the performance falters, the moment the real you peeks through the cracks in the persona, that love evaporates like mist, because it was never attached to anything real in the first place. This is why so many relationships fail. Not because people choose the wrong partners, not because love is inherently temporary, not because human beings are fundamentally incapable of sustaining deep connection. Relationships fail because two masks fall in love with each other, and when the masks inevitably slip, the people underneath do not recognize each other. They feel betrayed, not because their partner deceived them, but because both of them were deceiving themselves. Both of them were showing up as who they thought they needed to be, rather than who they actually were. And when reality intrudes on the fantasy, as reality always does, the whole thing collapses, because it was built on a foundation of performance, rather than truth. Your soulmate is not going to fall in love with your performance. Your soulmate is going to fall in love with your truth. But your truth has to exist first. It has to be something you have excavated, examined, accepted, embraced, and integrated before it can be offered to another person. You cannot give someone something you do not possess. You cannot share with someone something you have not yet claimed for yourself. And the truth of who you are, the unedited, unfiltered, unmasked truth of your being, is the greatest gift you will ever give another human being. But you have to unwrap it for yourself first. Let me tell you what happens when you do. Let me tell you what is on the other side of this journey, not to motivate you with rewards, but because you deserve to know what you are walking toward, what you are fighting for. What all of this pain and excavation and demolition and reconstruction is building toward. When you learn to love yourself at the level of your true face, when you finally stop hiding from yourself, and turn to face your own reflection, with compassion instead of contempt, with curiosity instead of criticism, with tenderness instead of judgment, the entire world rearranges itself around you. Not metaphorically, Literally. The people who were in your life, because they matched your old frequency, the ones who reflected your self-abandonment, your self-betrayal, your self-doubt, they begin to fall away. Not dramatically, not painfully, they simply drift out of your orbit like planets that no longer share your gravitational pull, and in their place new people arrive. People who feel different, people who feel like relief, people who feel like the first drink of water after crossing a desert you did not even realize you were in. And among those people, one will stand out. One will feel different from all the rest, not because they are perfect, not because they complete you, not because they fill some void inside you that was aching to be filled, but because when you look at them, you see yourself, not your mask, not your performance, yourself, your real, true, messy, magnificent, flawed and utterly lovable self reflected back to you in the eyes of someone who has done the same work, walked the same path, torn down the same walls, and arrived at the same place of radical self-acceptance that you have. That is your soulmate, and the reason you will recognize them is not because of fireworks or butterflies, or some dramatic cinematic moment where time stands still, and music swells, and everything suddenly makes sense. You will recognize them because of the quiet, the stillness, the absence of performance, the feeling of being able to exhale for the first time in your entire life. The feeling of not having to try, not having to perform, not having to be anything other than exactly what you are, and the miraculous, almost incomprehensible realization that exactly what you are is exactly what they want, not because you are their missing piece, but because you are their mirror, and they are yours. Two people who have done the terrifying, excruciating, sacred work of learning to love their own true face, now standing face to face reflecting back to each other. Not perfection but wholeness, not the absence of wounds but the presence of healing, not the end of the journey, but the joy of having someone to walk beside on a path that never really ends. This is what heaven wants you to know. This is why this message found you today, in this moment, at this exact point in your life, because you are closer than you think, not closer to finding your soulmate, though that may also be true. Closer to finding yourself, closer to the breakthrough that has been building inside you. Like pressure building inside a diamond, closer to the moment when you finally stop running from your own reflection, and turn to face it, with the full force of your love. And I know, you are scared. I know that the idea of truly seeing yourself, all of yourself, every shadow and every light, every wound and every gift, every failure and every triumph, every part you are proud of, and every part you have spent your whole life trying to hide. I know that idea terrifies you. I know it feels easier to keep searching for love outside yourself, to keep hoping that the right person will show up and love you so completely, that you will finally be able to love yourself through their eyes. I know that feels safer. I know that feels more familiar. I know that feels like the way love is supposed to work, because that is what every movie and every song, and every fairy tale you ever consumed, told you love was. But those stories were written by people who had not yet found their own true face. Those stories were written from a place of searching, of longing, of the desperate hope that someone else could do for them what they had not yet learned to do for themselves. And those stories, as beautiful as they are, as comforting as they are, as deeply as they have embedded themselves in your psyche, those stories are incomplete. They show you the meeting. They show you the falling. They show you the happily ever after, but they skip the most important chapter. The chapter where you sit alone in a room, with nothing but yourself and your truth, and the terrifying, liberating question of whether you can love what you see. That chapter is the one you are living right now. This moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this is the chapter that determines everything that comes after. And heaven is telling you, with all the love and all the urgency and all the tenderness that the divine can pour into human words, do not skip this chapter. Do not rush through it. Do not try to fast forward to the part where someone else shows up and makes it all better. Because if you skip this chapter, every chapter that follows will be built on an incomplete foundation. And no matter how beautiful the house you build, no matter how perfect it looks from the outside, it will eventually crumble because the ground beneath it was never solid. The ground beneath it was never you. So here is what I am asking you to do, not as a cosmic demand, not as a spiritual assignment, not as another item on your self-improvement to-do list that makes you feel like you are not doing enough, and never will be. I am asking you as one soul speaking to another, as a voice from a place that has no agenda other than your freedom and your joy, and your complete and total liberation from the prison of believing you are not enough. Look at yourself, not in the mirror on your wall, though you can start there if you want. Look at yourself on the inside. Look at the parts you have been avoiding. Look at the memories you have been suppressing. Look at the feelings you have been numbing. Look at the needs you have been ignoring. Look at the desires you have been shaming. Look at the dreams you have been dismissing. Look at the child inside you who learned very early that the world was not a safe place to be fully, completely, unapologetically themselves, and who has been hiding ever since, waiting, hoping, praying that someone would come along and tell them it was safe to come out now. Be that someone. Be the person who tells that child it is safe. Be the person who opens the door to that locked room in the basement of your psyche and sits down on the floor and says, I am here, I am not leaving, I see you, all of you, and I am not going anywhere. Be the parent you needed, be the partner you wanted, be the friend you deserved, be all of those things to yourself, not because no one else will, but because no one else can. Not at this level, not at the level that matters. Other people can love you, and they will, beautifully and imperfectly, and in ways that will make your life richer and fuller, and more meaningful than you can imagine, but they cannot do this part for you. This part, the part where you turn to face yourself and choose to stay, this part is yours and yours alone. And when you do it, when you finally do it, when you stop waiting for permission, and stop waiting for the right time, and stop waiting until you are better, or thinner, or more successful, or more healed, or more worthy, and you just do it right now, today in this imperfect moment, with your imperfect self in your imperfect life, something will happen that I cannot fully describe with words because words are too small for the truth they are trying to contain. You will feel a click. Not in your mind, in your soul, a sensation of something falling into place. Something that has been out of alignment for so long that you forgot what alignment felt like. And in that click, in that moment of internal recognition, the universe will exhale, the path will clear, the mirror will shift, and the face of your soulmate, the true face, the one that has been hidden from you not out of cruelty but out of mercy, because you were not ready to see it, because seeing it too soon would have sent you running in the opposite direction, that face will begin to emerge from the fog, and when it does, you will laugh, you might even cry. You will probably do both at the same time, because the face you see will be so familiar, so known, so deeply and impossibly and beautifully yours. that you will wonder how you ever missed it. You will wonder how you spent all those years searching the world for something that was inside you. The whole time, you will wonder how you looked in so many faces for the love that was waiting in your own, and in that moment of recognition, in that holy, sacred, earth-shattering moment of finally seeing yourself clearly, you will understand everything. Every heartbreak will make sense. Every failed relationship will reveal its purpose. Every tear will be redeemed. Every moment of darkness will be illuminated by the light of understanding. It was all leading here. Every single moment of your life was leading you here, to this realization, to this homecoming, to this return to the self you abandoned so long ago that you forgot they existed. And then, and only then, will the external soulmate arrive, not because they were waiting for you to be perfect, not because they were withholding themselves until you earned them, but because the mirror finally has something true to reflect, because the signal you are broadcasting into the universe is no longer a distress call, a signal of lack and longing and desperate need. It is a signal of fullness, of presence, of a soul that has found itself and is ready, truly ready, to share that self with another. Your soulmate was never hiding from you. You were hiding from yourself, and your soulmate, being your mirror, could only remain as hidden from you as you were from your own truth. The moment you unveil yourself, they are unveiled. The moment you see yourself clearly, you gain the eyes to see them clearly. The moment you love yourself truly, you gain the capacity to love them truly. It is not a sequence of events. It is a single event, a single shift, a single moment of radical self-acceptance that ripples outward and rearranges everything. This is the message heaven needed you to hear today. Not tomorrow, not when you are ready, not when the timing is right today. Now in this moment, because the truth is, you have been ready for longer than you know. The only thing that has been keeping you from this realization is the belief that you are not ready for it. And that belief was never yours. It was given to you by a world that profits from your self-doubt, a world that sells you solutions to problems it created, a world that tells you that you need to be fixed when the truth is, you were never broken. You were never broken. Say that again to yourself, not as an affirmation, not as a mantra, as a memory, because your soul remembers a time before the wounds, before the walls, before the masks, before the performances. Your soul remembers what it felt like to exist, without apology, without shame, without the constant exhausting effort of trying to be acceptable to people who could not even accept themselves. Your soul remembers wholeness, and that memory, that ancient, persistent, unshakable memory, is the reason you have never been able to fully settle for a life of masks and performances and half-loves and almost connections. Something in you has always known there was more. Something in you has always refused to give up on the possibility of a love so real and so deep that it would make every moment of pain worthwhile. That something is your true self, calling you home, and home is not a place. Home is not a person. Home is the moment you stop running from your own reflection, and realize that what you have been searching for has been searching for you, has been waiting for you, has been living inside you all along, patient and persistent, and unwavering in its love for you, even when you could not love it back. So this is your invitation, not from me, from heaven, from the source of all love, from whatever name you give to the force that spun galaxies into existence, and placed the exact right amount of stardust in your bones, to make you who you are. This is your invitation to come home, to stop searching outside yourself for the love that lives within you, To stop asking others to show you a face that only you can reveal. To stop waiting for someone else to tell you what the universe has been trying to tell you since the day you were born. You are the one you have been waiting for. You are the soulmate. You are the love story, and the moment you believe that, truly believe it, not as a concept but as a lived, breathing, embodied reality, the moment you look in the mirror and see not your flaws but your wholeness, not your wounds but your healing, not your past but your possibility. That is the moment everything changes. That is the moment your soulmate sees you. Really sees you, because you have finally allowed yourself to be seen. And then, dear soul, then the love that flows between you and your soulmate will not be the desperate, grasping, fearful love of two incomplete people trying to make each other whole. It will be the overflowing, abundant, generous love of two whole people who have so much love inside them that it spills over the edges and floods everything it touches. It will be the kind of love that does not need to possess, because it already has everything. The kind of love that does not need to control, because it trusts completely. The kind of love that does not need to fear loss, because it knows that what is real can never be taken away. That love is waiting for you. It has always been waiting for you, and the path to it is not through someone else's heart. It is through your own. Walk that path. Take the first step today. You do not have to take them all at once. You do not have to have it figured out. You do not have to do it perfectly. You just have to be willing. Willing to see yourself, willing to stay, willing to love what you find, not someday, not when it is improved, not when it is worthy, but now as it is, as you are. Because as you are is exactly how heaven made you, and heaven does not make mistakes. This message was always meant to find you, and you were always meant to be ready for it. The fact that you are still here, still reading, still feeling these words resonate in places inside you that you thought were closed off forever. That is all the proof you need that the journey has already begun. Your soulmate is waiting, and they are closer than you think. Look in the mirror, dear soul. Look with love this time, and watch what happens when you do.